And now, our feature presentation.
I like it spooky.
Hey everybody, welcome to the I Like It Spooky Horror Podcast. I'm Brian.
There is too much to do. There are too many movies to watch. I am Clint, and I miss Jolt Cola.
Jolt Cola. Not Zolt Cola, but if you drank Zolt Cola and went to the Nugget, you'd either get a lot done or tear the whole fucking place down, right?
Either way, I win. You know, something else that there's a lot to do of, and that is report on the news, because there is a lot of freaking news. So suck down some Jolt Cola, wake the hell up, stay with us, and let's get to some horror news.
So pulling the curtain back a little bit, Clint sends tons of news stuff that he thinks is interesting. I look at it, I read it, I'm like, oh, that's cool. We should talk about that on the show. And then I'm like, well, I wonder what he's going to talk about. And sometimes we discuss which thing we're going to cover. But I feel like I'm going to take one that you didn't send so you can talk about the ones that you did send. And the one that I'm going to talk about is from Bloody Disgusting. And it's 5 of this week's coolest horror collectibles, including the Ultimate Freddy Showdown art print. So this is a print of Freddy attacking other Freddys.
I saw this. I actually almost sent it, but I didn't.
One's on a fucking broom like a witch. It's just a fun poster. There's a little leather face plush by Kid Robot. Outpost 152 is the one that's doing the Freddy print. Zombie on vinyl soundtrack from Mutant, which Mutant is the offshoot of Mondo. Not the offshoot of Mondo. I think it's the people from Mondo that were let go when they merged with Funko, and they've kind of formed their own company, and now they're doing posters and soundtrack. And Mondo's kind of went into this weird, some of their prints are limited, but some are time limited, so they're not as limited as they were before.
Yeah, they adopted a different business model. We had talked about that a while ago when that split happened, and I was waiting for something like Mutant to form. I wasn't aware of those.
And then Sasquatch Sunset on Blu-ray from Decal releasing on May 28th. You can go buy that now. I'm going to go check that out. It looks fun. Yeah, just some more fun horror collectible stuff. I went to Target the other day and they had a Ecto-1 and a Scooby-Doo, like 1/16 their cars for like $7. So I was like, that's cool that it's kind of bleeding into Target even.
So the cool thing about the Freddy prints is he's from the dream world. So you can make up your own really cool rendition, especially if you're a talented artist of, you know, him depicting this or that or doing something. But there's also so many offered in the movies. Like when you talked about him as the witch, he depicted that in Freddy's Dead. Remember the beginning of that movie where he's riding on the broom outside the witch and they had the Wizard of Oz reference? There's so many Freddy characters, which is depicted in all the collectibles. I mean, there are so many Freddy Krueger action figures, all from him doing different things in the movies. That is cool to have a print where they're all there, or, you know, a group of them are there.
Did I see NECA's doing the Worm Freddy?
It's actually, I was going to talk about that on Why Are We Poor, but NECA re-released the Friday the 13th accessory set, and then they also re-released the Nightmare on Elm Street Freddy Boiler Room diorama, and they re-released the Freddy accessory set, which had the worm from part 3, him as the TV, welcome to prime time, bitch, little part, and there's some other things in there too, which it goes against what I've said before, that I wish that NECA specifically, when they release something and they say it's going to be limited, then they just leave it alone. I didn't get a chance to get either of the Freddy ones, and my Jason one is sitting in my fish tank. Yeah, I opened the box. Sorry. It was a long time ago. I've learned since then. So I'm excited that they re-released those, and I jumped on and pre-ordered those. If you're listening to this episode, I don't know if the pre-order for those 3 things are still available. It closes right about the time this episode comes out. So head on over to NECAonlinestore.com.
Store.necaonline.com.
There you go. I don't know why it's so complicated. Go to that and see if you can still pre-order any of those 3 things if you're interested. Because they are limited limited again until next time.
Well, I almost wish they would do like something to make them different, to make one a little bit different than the first or the second or the third. They could.
They do with packaging sometimes. NECA just re-released also like the Otis figure from House of a Thousand Corpses. I think they did a Captain Spaulding also, and the packaging's a little different. They've done that before with the My Bloody Valentine, the minor. You know, it was in a certain type of packaging, then it was in a clamshell, and
it's just a way for them to get more money.
Absolutely it is.
Be smart about it. Watch for this stuff. Listen to the show so that you can know stuff's coming, because people will still be online buying the first pressing or whatever you want to call it at collector prices when NECA's putting new stuff out. And Fright Rags does it. You know, I bought the Halloween cards and they're for sale on the website. They're not anymore. They sold out again. But there are people on eBay that day buying them for $80-$90 when you can go online and buy them for $40. Maybe those people they're so busy, or they're not watching the right sites or listening to the right shows. I've done it before, but I'm trying not to, because I could buy two for one cost of one.
There's a lot of segues hidden in this conversation into Why Are We Poor? But wait, because there's more news. I got a few things I want to touch on, and it kind of ties into some stuff we talked about on the last episode where we covered Night of the Creeps. Brian, you and I got into a discussion about the No Brave New World and indie filmmakers and people just wanting to remake things. News came down, and this is from BloodyDisgusting.com, that Horror Inc. is working on the Jason universe. Says here, while we wait to see what happens with A24 and Peacock's planned Friday the 13th TV series, where showrunner Brian Fuller has stepped out, claiming that the Friday the 13th rights for that project are messy over at New Line Cinema. It says here that Horror Inc. has announced the Jason universe via an exclusive report from IGN, which is said to be drawing of a new era from the original owners of Friday the 13th franchise. So Victor Miller and Mark Toberoff are going to be announcing new projects, and you can go over to jasonuniverse.com and sign up to get news as it comes out. But this is supposed to span movies to games to pop culture stuff. And I tell you what, I don't know if you've seen this, Brian, but the Jason mask and just the whole visual presentation of what's going on is very strange and has a lot of people talking about what the fuck is this. Then on top of that, there was news from Sean Cunningham that it looks like a new movie is still 3 years or more from, ever being made. The whole Friday the 13th thing is still going to be in limbo for a long time.
I've had some listeners and friends of the show send me stuff, and I'm just like, okay, Jason's going to be in Fortnite, and he's going to be in Call of Duty, and he's going to be on a cereal box. Maybe I have a Saturday morning cartoon again. Maybe I just wish they had a Saturday morning cartoon. I'm like, can we get the fucking game back? Can I get Friday 13th, the game back?
A new game is in the works. But on top of that, with all of this foolishness going on with Jason, he just came out in a WB multiverse game. I don't know much about that. But anyway, he looks so ridiculous, much like the graphics from Horror Inc. with this whole Jason universe trying to relaunch. And it just looks to me like the people who won the rights, Victor Miller, Horror Inc., that they are going to take the helm of this stuff and put out a bunch of stuff that they're going to be out of touch. Jason fans are going to reject a lot of what they're putting out. And they already are.
Well, I feel like they're going for the mainstream people, which that's where your money's at. In the long run, those people are going to get tired of it. They're going to be like, oh, that was cool for about 30 seconds. And you're going to find more Jason plushies and cups and all this stuff that's kind of generic at Target and Walmart. So it's, like you said earlier, a double-edged sword. Yes, I want more Friday 13th, but I don't think I'm going to want what they're giving me.
Speaking of mainstream, something else I want to touch on is it's been announced that Blumhouse wants to put out a My Bloody Valentine movie. And I'm just going to cruise through real quick on this also. It appears that he wants to reboot the movie. So it's not going to be a sequel. There was a lot of talk in the article about the 2019 remake. Again, it's kind of a mainstream take on your My Bloody Valentine fans. We're waiting for that George Mahalka sequel to the original 1981 classic. I feel some seeds were planted by the fan film, Valentine Bluff's a fan film. And then all of a sudden here comes Blumhouse and says, I'm going to reboot the film again. No, please no.
Give me a prequel. Give me what happened leading up to the original Harry Warden being stuck in the mine and then coming back and killing people.
I don't know what you would do there. I don't know. I guess it's better than a reboot though.
No, I mean, you could do all kinds of stuff in the mine. I mean, he survives and eats his cohorts and then he comes out and kills people. I feel like anything would be better than probably what they're going to do.
Exactly. Yep. We're going to wind up with, some people are going to hate me for this. I don't care. We're going to wind up with a 2018 Halloween trilogy of some of these projects where it's going to pull diehards and originals in, and then it's even going to wind up in the long run disappointing mainstream fans. It's just a shame. So the last bit of news I want to talk about was kind of on the other side of all of this, I don't know, mainstream out of touch fucking madness, is something else we discussed on the last episode when we talked about Night of the Creeps, was about how indie filmmakers are getting their films into theaters without a distributor. We talked about In a Violent Nature. We talked about Late Night with the Devil. And I just came across this link, and it's like a 43-minute video. I have not had a chance to watch the whole thing, but I am going to put this link on the I Like a Spooky Horror Podcast Facebook page, which is cool as shit, but not mainstream because we are not that awesome. But I watched a little bit of it, and it just looks like an interesting video about the current trend of what we were talking about. People just sidestepping all of the mainstream, all of the distributor madness, and just getting their own shit out there, which is really the spirit of filmmaking and artistry to begin with.
Again, we had talked about, I don't know what it was on, if it was on Indie Spotlight or on a main show, but somebody wanting to get their movie into a theater and it was going to be like $10,000 to get it shown on a couple theaters.
That was CJ Vecchio who did The Evil 3. We were talking about that on Night of the Creep.
Yeah, and it's like, what the fuck are we doing? To get it in an AMC, it's $10,000. I don't know if it was an AMC, but to get it, in 3 or 4 small theaters,
it was going to be $300,000 with guaranteed deposits that you had to put down, non-refundable stuff.
No, thank you. Absolutely not. And maybe that's where some of these smaller theaters, we had talked about, the Gotzel Theater only showing horror stuff or, smut stuff from England or, demoniacs once a year.
You got to smile when you said smut stuff from England. He's like,
Maybe that's where some of these smaller historic theaters, like the Orpheum or the Capitol in Burlington, can take some of this pie and get people to come. We went and seen Muppet Treasure Island, which is not a scary movie, but it's got a...
It's also not a smut film from England.
No, but it's got a Tim Curry in it, so... We spent $20 on concessions, but the movie was free. $20 at concessions, there is a popcorn, a soda, a water, a couple things of candy. And we sat and watched the movie, Finley and I, and had a great night. But maybe that's where some of these smaller theaters or the historic ones can start pulling in some people for movies, and we're working on a couple showings where we're going to have people come, hopefully, and watch old horror movies.
I know, and I shouldn't say this. Actually, I should, because I hope other people adapt this business model, because I don't want to be the only one. It's not like I'm trying to corner the market or anything. You take what I'm doing out there to the Nugget and Stagecoach, and part of that plan, which involves so many things, is going to be showing films, film festivals, bands, etc., etc. I would love to be able to reach out to the filmmakers of In a Violent Nature, Late Night with the Devil. Those are just the 2 current ones. That's why I keep repeating those. But any of these films, and just have them come show their film. Just have them come show their film. And then kind of like you said, they made the $20 off the concession. My money is made off concessions. And while you're here, I also have this for you to do, and this for you to do, and this for you to do. I would make my money on that. And these films get a platform. And then I get known as the place that shows the cool shit.
Well, and you could reach out to John Iceberg.
Absolutely.
Show Final Summer 2. Or once he gets all 3 of them out, have a Final Summer all weekend. Sylvia Camner, follow her and what she's going to do next. I'm still waiting to see news on that. She said it was going to be more horror related. So I'm really excited for that.
She's still in the loop. She hasn't gone away.
Again, not horror related, but her show that she's a part of, Jessica Brown's Places to Love, I think is what it's called, just won 7, 8 awards. I'm like, God, she's still doing amazing stuff, and we're still waiting for more movies from her. But this is the kind of stuff, and we're going to talk about a movie that seemed pretty independent to me later in the episode. You know, the movie we're covering this episode. Yeah, this is the fun kind of stuff that if you just go to a theater and you don't dig a little bit, you're not going to find.
I wish to God the movie that we're discussing in a little bit, called Office Uprising, I wish to God I would have known about this when it came out and I would have seen it in the theater. I would have loved to see this movie in the theater. This movie's fantastic. I would have spent a lot of money going to see it 2 or 3 times. In fact, I've watched it 2 times already in like a week and a half. But speaking of money, which we're kind of dancing around, I don't know. Do you want to tell everybody what we're poor? Because I got really fucking stupid yesterday. Really stupid.
It's your turn this episode.
Yes, it is.
So on this episode of Why Are We Poor? I only got 2 things. I got more, but I haven't opened the box from... I have to think about it. Who did I get movies from? Oh, TerraVision. Yeah.
The dramatic pause. Where did he get the movies from?
So I had talked about the Scooby-Doo car, the mystery machine from Target earlier. So I picked one up.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We got some work to do now. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We need some help from you now.
Oh, that's cool.
132nd. Hollywood Rides. It was $7. I mean, it's a little cool Scooby-Doo car.
I'm honestly surprised that thing wasn't $20, $30. That's good quality. Nice packaging.
I'm not going to take it out of the packaging or anything. And they had the Ecto one, and they had some other ones that weren't horror related, but Scooby-Doo is. And then the other thing, we took a trip for Mother's Day to Half Price Books. Not Half Price Books. I don't know. A bookstore that we like in the Quad Cities. And I picked up the unofficial horror movie coloring book.
Why are you getting things on Mother's Day? That's not cool, man.
Let me turn to this one. Here's probably be your favorite one.
Ooh, zombies. And it's at the mall. I love it.
It's just fun, different movies. Saw, Midsommar, Scream, The Exorcist, Halloween, Get Out, The Ring. Oh, there's Hellraiser. So one day, if I ever have time... Oh, here you go. What about this one? Evil Dead.
I think whenever you, when you check back into the psych ward...
Oh, yeah.
That's when you're going to have time to do all your coloring.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Take a little break.
We could all use a break.
That's what I got. I mean, like I said, I got movies and stuff. I'm sure there's other stuff that I've picked up. I spent $100 at a yard sale on movies. They were $1 a piece. They're just in a box down here.
Is that what you were telling me about, or did you go back and get more?
No, that's what I was telling you about. I hope to eventually go back and get more, but I bought a DVD player for $5 that somebody at work had on sale. And they're like, you don't have a DVD player? I was like, well, no, I got like 6 of them, but for $5, I'm going to have 7 because what if one breaks? And then one of my other coworkers was like, I was going to buy that, but I seen you commented on it. I was like, you don't have a DVD player? And she's like, no. Well, I could probably sell you one for $20.
You know, if you had more hair, I envision you as you get older looking like the mad scientist alien guy in Weird Al's UHF.
Oh, yeah.
Just with all these DVD players and mixers and posers and movies. And
he was a character on one of my mom's soap operas growing up.
Oh, really?
That actor, yeah.
That's
like
funny.
Days of Our Lives or who knows, General Hospital. What'd you get?
Oh, God. What didn't I get? So we'll start off where I mentioned earlier in the program here that I went ahead and did the pre-order on the Friday the 13th accessory set and the 2 Freddy offerings they were doing. But then yesterday, the day before this recording, I decided I wanted to go to Screamer's Costumes in Clinton Township, Michigan. Took Boots, took the oldest with me. I knew that I was going to go there and probably grab a couple of NECA figures, but the whole point of the trip was to go to the museum they have there, the monsters. See, I always forget the damn name. The Madmen. I'm sorry, Tim and Renee. I always forget the name of your place. Long story short, it wasn't open when we got Screamers was open. The museum's not open because they're adding a serial killer wing. So I guess the whole place is going to be open right around the time of the Dream Cruise in Detroit on Woodward. And that's the first week of August. So that's what they're shooting for. So I wasn't able to go check out the museum, but we went and spent some money anyway. I picked up the NECA Lon Chaney London After Midnight. I picked up the NECA Nosferatu. There was a couple other things I was going to grab that I put back because I saw this. And normally when we do these Why Are We Poor segments, I just talk about it. I don't ever show Brian, but I would have shown him this one. Oh, the dramatic pause Ladies and gentlemen who can't see, listen to Brian's reaction as he looks at...
The mask from the Black Phone. Is it like 3 masks? It is 3 masks.
It is. It's the deluxe box set from Trick or Treat Studios. I'm going to get it closer so you can see if there's a glare there. I knew this thing existed. It was one of those things that came out and then kind of was like went under the radar. I had seen a couple aftermarket, not aftermarket masks. I kind of forgot. Anyway, Tim and Renee up there at Screamers Costumes had a bunch in stock, a decent price. So I went ahead and picked one up. It's amazing. It's an amazing piece. I don't believe you can get them on trickortreatstudios.com anymore. I looked and I didn't see them available, but their site's kind of weird. But Screamers Costumes in Clinton Township, Michigan has some. Then it got expensive because I had Boots and I had the oldest with me. And, I'm getting stuff. The museum wasn't open, so they're going to get stuff too. Boots is my thrifty child. Boots is never my expensive child. Well, she was when we went to Screamers Costumes. She found this. It's a beautiful jacket. It's almost like a high school varsity jacket style, and it's Scream, and it's got patches all over it, and it's black and white, and it's button-ups, quality coat. It was ridiculously expensive, but she never comes to me. I have to fight with her to get her things. Sometimes even things that she needs, I gotta dig to find out, oh, you need this, or you need new socks, or you need new shoes, or whatever. So when she brought this thing to me, I was like, I'd like this. And I was like, okay. And then the oldest, who was always my expensive child, all she wanted was a freaking shirt. And then so I felt bad. So I was like, look, I said, Boots is getting this. Did you notice these? Well, she's a Slipknot fan, and she's got a few of the Slipknot Funkos. Well, she didn't realize that they released a bunch more of the band, of different members, because, Slipknot's got 37 members in it. So she went right over to that. And long story short, we spent on just a whim of a trip a little over $400 yesterday at Screamers Costumes. And I'm not bragging, I'm crying. We got stupid.
The best things in life are free, but you can give them to the birds and bees. I want money. That's what I want.
Rarely do we just go and just fucking blow money, and we didn't really blow it because we all got some cool stuff we enjoy. We got some stuff that can go into my collection. The oldest has a mini collection. It is what it is.
Oh, our trip yesterday was to about 30 miles from home. Finley and I loaded up in the car, went to some yard sales, went to the park, stopped and had ice cream. I think I spent $10.
I hate you.
I didn't buy it. Well, I bought a CD and a movie for her. That's all right though. So I've had my trips. I mean, that yard sale I spent $100 at. I had $7 in my wallet. I had to go get more money.
Well, and too, this goes without saying, but anymore, it's not just what you buy, it's the gas. And then, Screamers Costumes from where I live is roughly an hour and a half away. So of course we stopped and got snacks when we left. And on the way back, we stopped at A&W and had something to eat because it was around dinner time. I wasn't going to cook. We'd been on the road all day, and there's 40. There's an additional $100 right there.
And 80 of that was probably A&W.
No, the one in Dexter, Michigan is cheaper than the one in Mason, but the food quality is better in Mason.
Maybe we could find a sponsor and the quality of the show will increase.
Now, the quality of the show, the only way that's going to, it's a pretty quality show. We talked earlier about repackaging things, and if you think about it, the I Like a Spooky Horror podcast repackages itself in many forms. We usually do this later on in the show, but fuck it. We've got the main flagship show. We've got appendages. We've got mishmash. Sometimes there was the news a long time ago. We've got indie spotlight, but it is all the same great quality content. We're poor. We here at the I Like a Spooky Horror podcast would like to take a second to showcase our local comic and book shops. If you are in the Galesburg, Illinois area, make sure to visit the Wordsmith Bookshop located at 235 East Main Street in Galesburg, Illinois, because any place that will specifically order Scream magazine for a customer is worth a visit. If you're in the Jackson, Michigan area, stop by Nostalgic Inc. located at 139 South Mechanic Street, who for over 35 years has been a destination stop for all of your comic, collectible, and table gaming needs.
Shop smart. Shop
local bookmarts.
So now that we've heard from our sponsor, which happens to be us, it's time for the movie.
We heard from us.
Yeah, us. The 2018 straight to streaming, so you could not have seen it in theaters.
That's bullshit.
I feel like it should have been in theaters.
This is a theater movie.
A Sony Crackle. It was a exclusive at the time from 2018. Office Uprising.
You know, former co-host Jason talked about, ever since you came on the show, Clint, all we do is cover horror comedies. And this is a horror comedy. I think it's a horror action comedy. Maybe the word satire could even be tossed in there. Oh, God, this movie is just fantastic. And I just happened to stumble across it. But what I think is interesting is, again, I always talk about cycles and universe and how it all works. You know, we had talked about in the last show when we covered Night of the Creeps that I'd recently gotten into a conversation with friend and artist Brian Hoover. It's harder to get something made now based off of competition because of a mass influx of movies, because of available technology and countless films, most not very good. You know, they make their way to all these streaming services such as Tubi. But this film right here, Office Uprising, from our friends over at Chicken Soup for the Soul and Crackle, listen to appendages. Once a month, Brian always lists free horror movies on the free Crackle app. This movie, Office Uprising, it proves that in a way because this is an instant classic that just got lost in the shuffle of a million fucking movies going to Tubi.
Well, and this is after Belko Experiment. That was 2016. And then you get Mayhem in 2017. And then you get this in 2018. But those other two are big budget studio produced movies. And this stands right there with them. Just as fun, just as funny, great action, great gore. This is maybe even better than Belko Experiment.
It is better than Belko, and Belko's good. But you know, a lot of people haven't even heard of Belko. You're talking about that's a big budget. A lot of people are like, what the hell is the Belko Experiment or the Belko Project? It's funny, I was talking with our friends over at Horror Nights Podcast, and they're like, I'm going to have to check this out. And I was like, this is a blending. Office Uprising is a blending of Office Space, Zombieland, and the Belko Experiment.
So it starts at Amotech headquarters in Lubbock, Texas. Big high-rise, couple buildings, I think it was. It's a guy who's late for work every day. He's in accounting, and he's trying to get to work. And then they're going to merge with another company, so they're all worried about losing their job. In a roundabout way, he's our hero, but he's also kind of a prick.
I don't know. I think he was just, he just didn't give a shit about the corporate culture, but he wasn't going to step away from it either. He was just kind of your typical, stereotypical millennial pothead.
He gives you rules. There's 6 rules, 7 rules. He gives you a couple extras on the top of the rules. Always be late, always carry a clipboard, all this stuff.
How to survive a day at Amotech. 1. Always have a clipboard in hand. The busier you look, the more invisible you become.
Des.
Some of those are real because I was taught that clipboard rule a long time ago, and it has served very valuable. And it's basically always look busy. If you look busy, then people will leave you alone. There's an old guy who no longer works with me that I worked with at UPS, and years ago he told me that. He said, Clint, no matter what you do, if you're going to the bathroom, if you're trying to go hide somewhere, whatever, just walk fast, talk fast, and look like you're really busy and you're distracted, and people will leave you alone. It works.
In all of these rules, he works in an office. You work at UPS. I work in healthcare. These rules span anywhere that's a corporation. Probably works at Walmart, probably would work maybe not at a coffee shop. Well, maybe Starbucks. Anybody that works with the public or around people is like, oh, fuck these rules. I need to write these down.
Well, that was the other thing that I really enjoyed about this movie is years ago I've worked in an office setting. Brian, you do to a degree. I passed this movie along. You know, the ex is in the corporate world, and so I got to, hear about and just see the byproduct from that culture, which I always have been totally against. It's so whatever, just not for me. And so the movie's spot, just like Office Space, the movie is spot on. It's grounded in this crazy reality that does exist. So I actually passed this movie on to her, and then she passed it on to one of her superiors. They just love this movie because in that aspect of the corporate culture, it's so spot on. It's ridiculous.
He meets with the boss. You meet some of his coworkers. You meet his friend.
Sammy.
Yeah, who he's been friends with for a long time, maybe since childhood.
Our heroine.
He goes downstairs. He gets pig blood shot all over him. Well, they shoot a missile and it blows up, but it just slowly builds. That was my one thing about the movie. I was like, when the action starts, it's balls to the wall. But he needed to start a little sooner.
Thought you were going to say that, and I kind of felt that too. And so the other day, Boots was getting her hair cut here at the house. I was like, hey, do you guys want me to put on music or a movie or something? They're like, yeah, sure. So I just randomly went to Tubi, randomly scrolled through and found this movie, didn't know shit about it. And I just like, and so I hit play. Everybody it was just on in the background. No one was sitting down watching the movie. But I knew it was going to be about zombies or about something like that. I keep looking over and I'm like, I don't see anything happening. And then I'd go about and do some stuff and I'd come back and I'd look and I go, what's going on? So I agree with you where I think the beginning was a little slow and it was loaded with character and story development. But after watching the whole thing, realizing that even though at a first watch, you're not for sure what you're watching, but it is entertaining. So it makes you stick with it. But as the character and story development continues to build, you realize that the first however minutes of the film, it's a masterclass of setups that are all capitalized on and followed through with. This is great storytelling and attention to detail. I love this movie.
It's got a story. I knew you'd like it if it had a story.
So, no, I agree. Maybe the action could have been picked up just a little bit faster, but going back and watching it for a second time, 8 days removed or whatever, I still loved it. I think I liked it even more.
Well, and there's enough action and enough going on that you're going to see stuff the second time that you maybe didn't catch the first time.
With the dry, sarcastic humor tone of this, absolutely. There's so many kind of under the breath comments and jokes that you're like, oh, I didn't hear that the first time. That's funny. But nothing's wasted. It lends itself to the story.
Well, and with the action, I mean, there's a couple sequences of just huge fights that you can't watch everything that's going on. So one of the scientists is upset that the company is downsizing or they're merging, so people are going to lose their jobs. And you find out later that he lets everybody have this Zolt cola, and it causes them to maybe not be zombies, but they don't have control of their emotions. They're upset. The littlest thing makes them mad, and they want to kill you or fuck you, or maybe both. Yeah.
Yeah, it maybe, kill you, then fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it basically, later on in the movie, the scientist describes that it basically kind of melts the frontal lobe, and that it's like a rage virus.
The guy that's over accounting wants to be in charge. So he builds his group of people and he starts going through the building, taking over other departments.
Zachary Levy is the actor's name. And I'm going to get to that in a little bit of my notes, but I loved him so much, his portrayal in this, that I'll say it 2 or 3 times. He is the MVP of this movie, in my opinion. And it was filled with great acting, but he was just the shining star. He was fantastic in this movie.
He's a perfect, nonchalant, kind of a prick around the bin boss. Like, I know you're late. I really don't care. I need this report, though. What was he? I don't even remember what he was doing. The one time he was smelling the pencils.
Yeah, that was after he started drinking the Zolt cola and giving in to those animal instincts and stuff like that. This is another film that's funny, but it's played straight. I mean, there's much more comedy front and center in this film than the last one that we covered, Night of the Creeps, but it still has a more kind of like realistic and sarcastic tone as opposed to that hit you in the face comedy. So it is much more a comedy than some of the horror comedies that we cover. Like, I'll admit this one's a comedy, where the other ones I don't really see it, but this is very much a horror film and a statement on the corporate culture.
I liked that guy. You said his name was Zachary Levy.
Correct.
And then there's another guy that I really like, and it's Karan Zoni. He's an Indian-American actor and comedian.
Hilarious.
Had been in Deadpool. I didn't know he was in Deadpool.
He had a great story arc in Office Uprising also. Great story arc.
Yeah, and he's funny because he's the one guy in the office that's maybe he's not eating or drinking because it's Ramadan, so he doesn't take any of the Zolt cola.
Yeah, he's fasting.
Everybody's kind of a prick to him. I mean, he's just a guy trying to go to work and do his work.
And he's a pacifist that works at an arms dealer building manufacturer,
I think that's brought up at some point in the movie. Him and the other guy, great. And I feel like everybody that's in this movie kind of has gone on to do a lot bigger things.
I have a little paragraph here about star power, and I was going to say, and this is just a few because I think we'd spend the majority of the episode talking about the accomplishment of some of the key actors of this film in kind of a more mainstream world of movies. But I mean, our hero is played by Brenton Thwaites. He's the voice of Robin on Teen Titans. Greg Henry, he's been in countless productions from the 70s till now, but you may recognize him from Guardians of the Galaxy, Slither, our horror fans from Slither, and one of my favorites, Payback with Mel Gibson. What else we got here? Okay, so Kurt Fuller, he's been on Night Court, of course, because everybody in the universe has been on Night Court. Just take it. It's the best show ever fucking made. He's been in another film that we covered, The Running Man. He was in Ghostbusters 2. That's just to name a few. He's one of those guys that you see him and you're like, oh, that's that guy. He's just been in so many movies. He's kind of like, like Dick Miller's been in every movie ever made. Well, Kurt Fuller's just behind him in the number of films he's been in. Again, like I just talked about Zachary Levy, who plays Nosbaum, which is another funny thing. His first name was A, so if you put it together, it's Anus Bomb. It's hilarious. He has several credits, but perhaps the most exciting to me, and probably you, Brian, because you have a young daughter, is he is the voice of Flynn Rider from the animated Tangled movies.
I know not who you are, nor how I came to find you, but may I just say, hi. How you doing? The name's Flynn Rider. How's your day going? Huh?
No, Flynn Rider.
Flynn Rider is Anus Bomb.
I like Flynn Rider. I was going to say he was in Shazam, but yeah, I think it's cooler that he's Flynn Rider.
It's way cooler that he's Flynn Rider. Yeah, a lot of the actors and actresses in this movie are in the Deadpools, the Shazams, the DC world, the Marvel stuff. And it's like they all just kind of got together and said, hey, let's make this quirky little movie about drinking poison and going crazy and killing everybody.
What about Jane Levy? What's she in? Do you know?
I'd have to look it up, but I do believe that she was in just some Marvel stuff.
Well, and she's in Shameless, which a lot of people really like that show.
Oh my God, I'm a fucking idiot. She played Mia. She played Mia in the Evil Dead remake in 2013.
Yeah.
How did I not catch it? She was in Don't Breathe. How did I not catch that? Oh man, I'm slacking.
So some horror and comic movie pedigree here in this movie. For a 2018 straight to streaming, kind of got lost in the shuffle. Maybe this will become the new Demoniac of the I Like It Spooky Horror podcast.
No, because Demoniacs wasn't good. This movie is fantastic. I am kicking myself in the ass for not recognizing that she was Mia and Rocky from Don't Breathe. You know, it also says here that she's in the Toxic Avenger remake.
Really? You think we'll ever get to see that?
God, I hope so, because I want to cover it here sometime soon.
But by being the new Demoniacs, it gets like a DVD and a Blu-ray and a 4K release.
Oh, yeah. We just have to say Office Uprising 4,102 more times.
I don't know that we can do that.
Oh, sure. Well, Office Uprising. There, I just started. That's like the 13th now. So, back to the movie, though. The visual styling of this film, it never gets boring. One of my favorites was in the beginning of the movie, before the action starts to happen, we're still doing some character building. Our lead, he goes home to his roommates, and they're just a bunch of slacker losers. The one guy's waiting for his settlement from his lawsuit against the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Yeah.
They go play Mario Kart. But by playing Mario Kart, they're actually dressed in like cosplay costumes as characters, and they're pushing each other in grocery carts down this alley, like battling each other. It's like live action Mario Kart. Totally hilarious. There's a scene at the very end of that quick sequence where he crashes and tumbles out of the cart. And then it's like a seamless edit where he rolls into his desk chair and falls asleep at his computer because he's putting this report together for the next day at work. There's a lot of fun stuff like that in this movie. A lot of little animation breaks. The beginning starts with this kind of used car salesman type commercial thing.
For 100 years, one company has worked with unparalleled vision toward the continued safety of our great nation. Ammo Tech. First, we changed the game with the chain-fed machine gun, as well as the Claymore landmines. Next, we taught those crowds about another great American pastime, the barbecue. Ammo Tech, the world's leading innovator of weapons of mass protection.
The visual style of this film is never boring. It's never monotone.
The actor that was waiting for his settlement check from the, what'd you say, Make-A-Wish Foundation?
Yeah, he was suing the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
He plays Han on Ladder 19, which is one of the shows that Tiffany watches all the time.
I knew he looked familiar.
Yeah, it's getting canceled. Maybe he'll go on to do some more horror stuff. Yeah, just an insane cast of great actors that have gone on to do
of talent.
You find that in some of these movies, though, that somehow maybe it's a passion project or they just want to do something that they can have fun and enjoy. And then this great cast comes together and you're like, how can big budget movies not get this group of people together to do this stuff?
Then you look at, I forever am going to kick myself in the ass for we're not professionals, we're not critics, we're not whatever, but I kind of feel like I carry some responsibility to report interesting stuff, and I'll kick myself in the ass forever for not realizing that Jane Levy was Mia in Evil Dead and Rocky and Don't Breathe. But I'm sorry, I'm babbling. Evil Dead and Don't Breathe came out before this movie. So you're talking about people that, Tangled came out before this movie. So yeah, this was like an ensemble of already established talented actors and actresses who just got together to make this really fucking fantastic movie.
Everybody's drinking the cola. Everybody's losing their shit. He's late to work, the main character, because he fucking had a concussion probably. And he goes in like nothing happened, like nobody's at the gate. He just walking into work late.
He had a helmet on when they played. They were responsible when they played Mario Kart in the back alley.
He just slept through whatever the day. He goes through and everybody's laying there dead pretty much. There's a couple people alive, but they've all drank this cola and they're all going insane. And it takes him a second to figure, because he gets called to the office.
Well, and he's in such a rush to hurry up and sit down and get this report turned into his boss because he promised Jane Levy, who played Mia in Evil Dead and Rocky and Don't Breathe. I'm trying to redeem myself here, folks, that he would do better and not be such a slack off jerk, So he's so hyper focused on that he doesn't notice he's walking by dead bodies and blood splatters on the wall, and it like increasingly grows. And yeah, he gets into the office with Anus Bomb Flynn Rider, realizes that everybody's psycho killers.
You know what the hardest part about doing this show is sometimes? I want to stop talking about the movie now because I want people to go watch it. And we can say spoiler alert and all that stuff, but I just want people to go watch this movie because you more than likely will enjoy it. Even if you don't think the story's good, which I think the story's great, it's just a fun sit down. You don't really have to have your brain on. It's got a great story, but you don't really have to zero in on it. And you can just have fun with it.
If you do zero in, you're going to pick up on so many more jokes because it's that layered, sarcastic, like I say, kind of under your breath humor. Now, I agree with you, and this is actually one of those movies where my notes are almost done, and we haven't even really got into the movie. You can kind of give a synopsis of this movie and then just let people go enjoy it. I don't want to pick it apart. I agree with everything you just said. There's a couple points I wanted to hit on, and that was the Wilhelm scream. We talked about the Wilhelm scream before, the famous Wilhelm scream. If you go back when the finance zombies, I guess we'll call them, have the showdown with the marketing zombies, which is one of the best fucking scenes in the movie. And it's hard because there's a lot of great scenes. The Wilhelm scream is there. If you didn't catch it, go back and watch it. It's there. But I do have a couple hangups. As much as I love this movie, and as well thought out as the story was, why in the fuck, when they finally get to the boss's office of an arms dealer, was there one shotgun in the room and a fishbowl of shells, and that was it? So this thing should be fortified to the hilt.
Yeah, you'd think he'd have a button he'd push and they would just turn around and there'd be 50 guns there.
That's what I thought was going to happen. I'm like, you're Tex-Mex, whatever. He's like, the Texan with the cowboy hat going, you ain't getting in my door, and all these, you got to watch the movie. The other things that were kind of hang-ups, and this isn't even a big deal. I don't know if you caught this. There was 2 strange 2 or 3 frame edits where the screen goes black, and it was like from a scene to a scene. Did you catch that?
Yeah, one was real early.
Well, maybe there's more that I missed, and I saw 2 at the end. One is when they went to, later in the movie, when they go to the scientist to try to get an antidote, and they smash his door open, the window of his door, with a can of Zolt Cola, and then it goes black, and then they walk into the room, which it was just kind of weird. And then later on in the movie, when they're in the warehouse, after they take out a bunch of the maniacs, there's like a scene like that, where it's like this 2 or 3 black frame edit. Not a big deal, it's just something I noticed.
I wonder if those were commercials when it came out, maybe on Sony or Crackle when it came out.
That could be.
And Tubi didn't do a good enough job of putting commercials there.
I never thought about that. You're probably right.
Tubi has commercials, so, maybe they just throw them in at random times. And is that somebody's job at Tubi, to place commercials in movies?
I'm sure.
God, it's got to be.
I don't know. Maybe it's ran by AI now. Hell, I don't know.
Probably. Yeah, but I saw one real early. That would be my guess what it would be for is for a commercial.
This movie, now that I'm playing back in my head our discussion so far, I kind of feel like an idiot. I am so excited. You ever been so excited about something that you have a hard time explaining it to people? I feel like we've just been like, blah, 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 blah. This movie's fucking fantastic. It's fucking free. Go to Tubi. Do yourself a favor. If you're in an office corporate structure, if you're not, if you enjoyed Office Space, Belko Experiment, if you like Jane Levy in Evil Dead or Don't Breathe, because I don't know if you knew this, but Jane Levy, who is in this movie, was also in Evil Dead 2013 and Don't Breathe.
She was.
Go watch this movie. If you go watch this movie and you do not like it, then shoot us a message at ilikeitspookypod@gmail.com. Hit us up on our socials. You can attack me publicly. I could give a fuck less. I want to know if you did not like this movie.
Even if you don't like it, you like Jane Levy, right?
Well, yeah, because she was in Evil Dead and also in Don't Breathe.
Yeah. Should we rate it?
How the fuck did I not catch that?
I caught it.
Rate my stupidity?
No, the movie.
I feel like I let everybody down.
Oh, you're all right. You can't do everything for everybody.
I let myself down. I need some intervention.
8 out of 10 interventions.
That's your rating? 8 out of 10?
No,
Oh.
That is my rating. My rating is 8 out of 10 meetings that should have been emails.
Meetings that should have been emails.
You ever go to those?
Oh, yeah.
You're like, you could have just sent me a fucking email.
It's a funny thing in the corporate world again, and then I've seen memes that I've shared to people where it's like, I had this idea and it turned into an HR meeting or whatever, and this is so stupid. This might shock you a little bit. 10 out of 10 cans of Zolt is what I was originally going to say. But now I'm changing my rating. It is not 10 out of 10 cans of Zolt. It is 10 out of 10 Jane Levy's, who was also in Evil Dead 2013 and Don't Breathe in 2016. 10 out of 10. God, I love this movie from start to finish. I watched it last night, again, 8 days or so removed from when I watched it originally, and was still laughing out loud, which I rarely do. This movie is for me, and I think it's for just about everybody. And again, if you don't like it, I want to know, because I need to start a list of people to stay the fuck away from.
Hopefully our friends on the podcast network, the PFPN, hopefully we get some of them to watch it. And if they don't like it, we could stay away from them, right?
I mean, we don't have to talk to them. I think we can still support each other because we're all adults here. So we can do what a lot of people should do in this world, and it's just agree to disagree. Just because I don't ever want to talk to you because you didn't like this movie doesn't mean that I'm going to be a dick. I'm just not going to talk to you. That way I don't have to be a dick.
We're probably going to have a meeting now.
That's it. We're going to have a PFPN board meeting. Who the hell is going to head that one up?
Mike?
Yes. If you want to look at the org chart, the flow of things, yes. But I do believe that our friend, the Velvet Freight Train himself, Brian Clark, would be a good one to head up that meeting.
Mike would probably write the notes and have Brian read them.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
So now that we've heard from our podcast network, it's time for This Day in Horror. And on this episode, we cover June 9th through June 22nd.
A date which will live in infamy.
I mean, I say this every damn time, I feel like, but meh. We start on June 12th, in 1968 with Rosemary's Baby. Then in 1981, Clash of the Titans. Not really horror, but Ray Harryhausen.
I was going to say special effects, yeah.
Predator in 1987.
Do you remember who directed Predator?
No, who was it?
Fred Decker.
Fred Decker came up last episode, too, because he directed Night of the Creeps.
Right. And then from this episode, every episode on, we're going to talk about Jane Levy.
And then I only put this one on here because it was Witchcraft 8, Salem's Ghost in 1996. It's like, they made 8 fucking witchcraft movies?
I think they made more than that.
Jesus. Salem's Ghost from 1996. On June 14th in 1934, A Telltale Heart. Never seen it. Wouldn't it be a silent movie in 1934?
Gosh, I don't remember when sound took over. I don't think it would have been.
In 1985, The Stuff, which is the favorite of our friends at the Brett and Tony with Ash and Abe podcast. Well, maybe not Ash, but I think everybody else really likes it.
The Stuff.
Yeah, The Stuff.
So I got to go on a cheap plug here. Inkmirrors.com, they offer, by they I mean me, they offer stuffed t-shirts, stuffed candles, and stuffed novelty action figures. Go over to inkmirrors.com and check it out today. Ding!
And they'll be going on the road soon.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2000, we get the Crow Salvation.
Okay. No. So it's better than Crow Wicked Prayer. Crow Salvation wasn't terrible. As a Crow fan, as they came out, they got worse and worse. But what I enjoyed about it, in that era of the Crow films, each sequel was a sequel. It was a different story. It wasn't a remake, but the problem is they got hung up and tried to stick in that like edgy kind of cyberpunk kind of film noir dark fantasy when it's like we could do different things with this. It had a decent soundtrack.
And then in 2002, Scooby-Doo, the live action Scooby-Doo. June 16th, in 1978, you get Jaws 2.
What is not to love about Jaws 2? Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water.
And then you get, in 1988, Hellbound 2, Hellraiser 2.
Great film.
And then in 1992, you get Waxwork 2, Lost in Time.
Not as cool as the first one. You probably like it because it's a part 2.
I don't know. Have I ever seen the first one? Hell, I don't. Maybe I have.
You've never seen Waxwork?
I don't know. Maybe.
You better cancel your fucking plans after we get done recording and sit down and watch that movie.
And then in 1989, you get Ghostbusters 2. So June 16th is officially the sequel day. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 movies that are all part 2s. And then, in 1960, you get Psycho.
I decree that June 16th is now official Brian Godsill Day.
And then on June 20th, in 1975, you get Jaws. It's weird that it took 3 years to get a sequel. Usually they would
Why?
I don't know. Maybe that's a normal time period for a blockbuster movie to get a sequel. I feel like nowadays, if something does well, they just pump another fucking movie out the next year or the year after.
You got to think, and I don't remember Spielberg's involvement in the sequel. I'd have to look that up again. Because there's so much knowledge of horror movies floating around in my head that I completely missed that Jane Levy was in Evil Dead and Don't Breathe, as well as Office Uprising. But anyway, there's so much going on that I don't remember his involvement in that. But I do remember that he had a terrible time making Jaws. So if he was involved in that, he might have been had to get talked into it, or there were other projects going on. He was making a lot of big movies at that time.
Maybe he just needed a break. He's like, I got so much fucking going on, I can't do another movie right now. And then the studio was like, but it made so much money. What the fuck is going on?
I remember watching behind the series of Jaws one time. It was on like A&E or the biography channel, whatever, something like that. And it was fascinating. And they talked about stuff like that. I'm going to have to go find that.
You have anything going on?
The fuck? Oh, what's going on? Oh, it sounds like I need a nap.
So on this episode of What the Fuck is Going On, we both need naps. I don't have anything that I know that's going on, but I'm sure there's something.
Well, since you're boring, I'm gonna let's see, that and that. Actually, there's not a lot of new stuff to report other than the date that this comes out. Obviously these are recorded before they come out. This comes out June 9th. So I should be, if I'm not already home, which I don't think I will be, I should be driving home from Monroeville, Pennsylvania, coming back from a 1 day or so stint at Living Dead weekend at the Monroeville Mall. Cannot fucking wait. And then other than that, like I had mentioned in the last episode, after that fun little day or 2 day trip, I'm going to be buckling down to where, of course, I'll be at the Nugget every waking moment, but the other waking moments are going to be in my basement getting ready for the 5 or 6 cons that I'll be vending at with Inkmirrors.com, starting with Motor City Nightmares in Novi, Michigan, the last week of July. So that's it.
We will be heading to Louisville, Kentucky, like the 19th, 20th, 21st. So if there's anything cool horror related I need to check out in Louisville, Kentucky.
Wait, you're going when? In October?
No, in June.
Oh, yeah. Go check out OVW.
Oh, yeah. Well, other than that would be fun. Yeah, but other than that, I mean, I do what the boss tells me to do. And by boss, I mean she's 5 years old and about 3 foot tall. Whatever she says goes. Yeah, I don't have anything else. And they know where to find us, right? We talked about that earlier.
Yeah, we kind of we repackaged our format. We switched up the algorithm. We threw a glitch in the fucking matrix. And earlier on in the show, which we'll repeat again, we said that you can find us on virtually all social media. And when I say virtual, I mean not virtual. I mean actually all of them. Social media platforms. Subscribe to the I Like It Spooky Horror podcast wherever you get your podcasts. So you can check out this main show right here. Brian doing appendages where he covers free movies on, let's see, Crackle, Redbox, and the Popcorn Flicks app. He does that each one once a month. Leah with Pure Macabre puts out Mishmash twice a month, covering a bunch of spooky events happening in and around Michigan. What else we got? Indie. Why do we always forget Indie Spotlight?
We only do it once a month, but I feel like once a month is a good, what it needs to be for that.
I think so.
That gives a whole month for those people to get Spotlight.
And that is the third Tuesday of every month that comes out. So we're always putting a bunch of shit out. Go ahead and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And then all month long, we're throwing different stuff at you and repackaged pretty packaging. And make sure to hang tight because apparently we're going to have some sort of office meeting with everybody else at the PFPN. And who knows what kind of TPS reports or program or org charts we're going to have to follow now. Maybe we're going to have to do a bunch of trust falls and go to, what do they call that? Where you go to sessions with everybody to talk about our feelings and
do some BPPs and BCBs, and I don't even know what any of that shit means.
Team building exercises. That's right.
I'm kind of heavy. I hope somebody big catches me.
Just trust that I won't. I'll have my arms out, and then right as you're getting ready to fall, I'm going to turn and look at somebody. Right as you fall, I'm going to turn and look and say, did you know that Jane Levy was in Evil Dead and Don't Breathe?
Or you'll hear a box opening, and you'll be like, don't open that.
Don't open the box. Close the collectible, you fuck.
We'll probably get an email about the whole Cult of Clint thing, too. We might have already got one. I probably should check my emails.
I expect to be in a bunch of meetings here soon. Until next time.
What do you think this is all about? You think this is a fucking costume? This is a way of life.